Hey everybody, this is Scott with Ledger Dredger, and I'm here to go on a deep dive with you into how to create a social media content calendar with Airtable. Social media plan for your business nowadays is essential, and every business owner knows that. But the big question they start with is, where do I start? I'm a big believer in planning and planning stuff out before I execute it. Even if it's just a bare bones process on a piece of paper, it just gives me a direction of where to go, and know where I'm heading. And this is where Ledger Dredger and I want to help you out. We put together this short video, and a printout that the link is in the description down below, uh, to set up a framework of a social media content calendar with Airtable. There's unlimited potential with a base like this. We're not going to show you all of the bells and whistles and automation that you can set up, but if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to talk about that and the possibilities that exist for your business, just schedule a consult with us, and that link will also be down below in the description. If you're like me and still want to be involved with the content creation process, this calendar is great. Um, I can, the use case behind this is I want to be able to organize my posts, organize the posts on different platforms, and then hand over that information to somebody else to then be able to uh, post for me on social media, so that way it's shared. So that's kind of the theory behind this, and if you're ready, let's just dive in. So we have signed into Airtable, and um, here we are. Let's create a base. To do that, we're going to click on this right here. It gives you three options every time you start to create a base. You can start with a template, and there are plenty that Airtable provides that you can use if you just have no idea where to start. If you have an existing project of the same type, you can import a spreadsheet from Excel or Google Sheets, or for the purposes of this video, we're just going to start from scratch. So when you click that, this pops up, and this is where you name your base. So let's just call it what it is. Content calendar. And then we can select a color to go with our base. Oh yeah, for the light colors are available on the Pro plan. So we're using the free plan, and this is the beauty of this. This is free software that you can use to create this thing that's going to get your business organized. And who doesn't stinking love that, right? So we've named it, we gave it a color, and down here you can click from icons that they have pre-populated. But if you're like me, I like to find a different way to do stuff. So if you hit the Control, Command, and Space key on your Mac, it'll actually, it popped up on my other screen, I'll go grab it. It'll actually bring up your emoji keyboard like you have on your phone and everything else. So you see here, this populates. If you're on a Windows machine, you hit the Windows key and the semicolon, or the Windows key and the period, and then it'll bring up the emoji keyboard on your machine. So let's insert it here. Boom. As long you have to insert it in the front end of the name, and as long as you do that, it'll be the identifier in your base. So then you click off, and here we are. So let's get into the base here. So let's talk about the Airtable base tables. The columns, as they were known by in Google Sheets and Excel, are not columns in Airtables, they're called fields. And the rows, as they were known by in Google Sheets and Excel, are no longer rows, they're records. Because you see, Airtable is actually a database masquerading as a spreadsheet, um, which gives it steroids, which makes it awesome, which makes it sexy. It's amazing. And here's part of the reasons you'll see here in the creation of this calendar. And the first field here is the index for this particular table. Okay. If we were to link, the power of Airtable is we can link data from this table to another one if we created it, which we will later, by clicking this plus sign. But other tables will appear across the top of your screen in the colored section. And the records that are linked to that table will appear in that table by this first field identifier. So you'll see as we can customize this first field to a shorter list of features that are available to the fields or to the right of it. But this field you cannot remove, you cannot hide it. You can make it really small, but it's not going to go away because, like I said, this is the index by which all of these records will be known by in other tables. So we need to rename this first field. So there's two ways you can do that. First way is just to double click and then start typing a name and then selecting another function from this list. Again, that is abbreviated for this first field. The other way to do that is to click the drop arrow and then rename field. So we're going to call this first field the content title. Now, you'll see as we go along and create the rest of this table that this is the title for one post. And you say, well, what happens when I want to post on different platforms? Well, that's fine because the other fields in the rest of the table will then be able to identify which platforms you're wanting to post to under this same title if you want to use the same title. If you don't want to use the same title, I recommend using a completely separate record, even if it's just from one individual platform to the next. If you're not going to title it the same. Like I said, all of this information in this record will be transferable to other tables if we link it, or it will be attached to this individual record. So for this purpose, we're going to keep the first field as a single line text, and we're just going to hit save. It renames our field, and we're ready to go there. In this, the second field, we're going to rename it the content type. Actually, yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to select multiple select. Okay, so for this function for this field, again, all the cells within this column or the records within this field allows you to select one or more predefined options listed below. Down here is where you list them. It also gives you the option to color code them and alphabetize them once you get them all listed in there. So we can add as many or as few as we want, but for these purposes of this video, we're just going to add blog. And if you hit enter, it'll automatically go to the next line. If you are done, you just click off of the window, because how many times do I hit enter and then I don't need to? And to do that, if you ever need to remove one of these, you just hit the X to the side. So let's put a Facebook post, a YouTube video, Instagram picture, and a Twitter post. My typing is amazing. And again, if I hit enter and this pops up and I don't want it to, you just hit the X. And then when you're done with it, you can click off of it. It'll bring up this window to say, do you want to save the changes you made to the notes? You just hit save, or you just hit save here. Same thing. And now it changes our field type and changes the name. And so you can see here that I can just start typing text in this field. And then you can see as I select the content type, it brings up this little plus sign. So we click that, and then that gives us our options here and allows us to select whatever content type. And if we select something that we don't want, again, you just hit the X. So then we're going to move on to our third field. And we're going to customize it. And we're going to call it the topic. And here's an easy way to select a certain field type. Once you start learning the names of them, I want to select this long text field type. But if I just start typing, it'll start filtering out options by the text that I type. So that's another way. If, for instance, your option was way down the list, you can just start typing it instead of scrolling and whatever else. Just another little pro tip for you. And so the topic is going to be that in the long text. We're going to save it. This is going to serve for any of the topics that are in this one particular row or record. You can even link these topics if they were like in a series. You can even link these topics to each other, but you know, we'll worry about that another time. So we need to add another field now because we've taken up all of the existing ones. So we're just going to hit this plus sign, and then we're going to name it group, and then we're going to do the multiple select as well, and we're going to leave it blank for now. This again, if you have a series or something like that, you can create a grouping of articles or posts by that, and so that's what that will be. That's what that can be called. So let's see here. We can sort. The power of Airtable is that we can sort any of this information by any one of these fields. It'll have to be a select field, but we can sort the data in this table. You know, if I just want to see all blog posts or all Instagram pictures, I can do that and sort it out that way. So here we go. Now we're going to start adding the fields that correlate to these content types. So we're going to start adding the blog fields first. So we're going to click the plus sign, and we're going to call it blog title. And then we're going to leave this as single line text because we don't need anything other than that. And we're just going to hit save. So then we're going to add another field. And we're going to add the blog featured image. All blog posts have, usually have a featured image, like a big picture or whatever, or maybe multiple images. So we have the ability to add that information here in the attachment function, or the attachment field type. So then we just hit save. And then you can literally just drag and drop files into this field from your desktop, from Finder, from Windows Explorer, wherever it is. you can drop files here, just drag and drop. Makes it super easy. So we're going to add another field, and we're going to call it blog text, and we're going to go with long text. Now this is literally where you paste the text of your entire blog post in this field. As you can see here, I can start typing, and then I can type and type and type, and I can go on and on and on and on, you know, and add more text here. So this field is far more expansive than it seems. And just let me show you this. Okay, so I cannot see all of this text in one view, but if I click this little expand cell, it brings up a bigger window here, and I can look at it this way. So just another little tip. Okay, so let's see here. I've added the blog text, so now we have a blog link. And this is going to be the actual URL of the blog post. So we're going to use the URL field type. And when a link is entered into this field, you'll literally be able to click the link here, and it'll open up a new tab in your in Chrome or wherever whatever your internet browser is, and it'll take you to the blog post. So you don't ever have to manually type in anything or whatever else if you include this field. So makes it pretty nice, right? And then we're going to include one more field, the blog hashtags field, and we'll take that to be long text. And this is if you use hashtags or anything like that, if you have trending hashtags or whatnot, anything to identify certain posts or whatever else to share your stuff, make your stuff more shareable. So that's it for the blog content type. Now we're going to go to Facebook. So here's the Facebook post, and then long text. Okay, and we'll literally type in our whole post here, and then we're gonna type Facebook post photo. If there's a photo associated, again, we're gonna do the attachment field type. And then we're going to do Facebook post link. And that URL will literally take us to the Facebook post. And then Facebook hashtags. And long text. Okay, that's Facebook. And you can see that a lot of this is just rinsing and repeating the same process over and over again to set up these fields, because a lot of the platforms will require or have the ability to include the same information. So let's go with Twitter, and then long text, and then if there's any Twitter media associated, and then Twitter hashtag. Whoa. All right, so there's Twitter, and then we had Instagram in there, so we'll go with Instagram. Picture, and then the attachment for the picture, and then we'll go with Instagram post, text, and then Instagram hashtags and long text. Now, since a lot of this stuff is literally repeating itself, I'll show you how to do create different fields another way. So we're going to insert our YouTube fields now. So there's YouTube title. Wow. Okay, and there's that. So YouTube also requires a thumbnail. If you want to insert a custom one, it requires a thumbnail for your video regardless. But if you want to, so if I want to include that field for a YouTube thumbnail attachment field, I can just click here and I can click duplicate field. And so now it'll duplicate that field right next to where that field was, and I can just drag and drop it to the end, and then I can double click it and it's YouTube thumbnail, and then click save. And so there's my new field. However you want to do it, it's up to you. And then description, long text, and then the YouTube link. Again, the URL, that's going to take me directly there. And then also the YouTube hashtags. And again, if you don't use the hashtags or anything else like that, you obviously don't need to include it in your table. So those are the different platform fields based on the content type that I identified here. You could also do Pinterest, Snapchat, what else? Google Plus, anything else that you can think of. You can add the fields for the information that you put out on those platforms. So now we're going to start inserting the fields that track the publishing process for our posts. So we're going to insert another field here. We're going to call it due date. And for this, we're going to have the date field type, and this will allow us to pick a date from a calendar, right? And you have your different date types here that you can select, and then you can even include a time if that were applicable. So that doesn't really matter for me at this point. I'm just going to use the date period. So we're going to add another field, and again, to show you again another way to insert another field, especially since this is going to be a date field, especially since it's going to be right next to the due date. We're going to duplicate it and then double click and call it date published. Okay. And then we are going to add in another field for the VA or the social media manager to say when it is all complete. We're going to use the checkbox for this. If you click the style buttons, paid accounts will have all these different options or whatever, but we get the simple green check mark because we're on a free account. So you just hit that, click complete, and then that is done. Oh, one last thing. Let's see. I don't want to insert it. Where do I want to put it? Let's put it here. So I moved on while forgetting a field. So in order to accommodate that and insert a field in the middle of your table somewhere, you can right click on a field, and then you can insert to the left of it, or you can insert to the right of it. So I want this to be to the left of my date published, and I want to call it the status field. And this is going to be a single select. Again, we have the colored options alphabetized. You can add as many different statuses as you want as are involved in your process. But I'm just going to add these 4. The first one is brainstorming. The second one is draft. The third one is ready to publish. And the fourth is published. And then we're going to hit save. And then we have one last field to go, and then our table is actually set up. We're gonna, if you're like me, I get a lot of ideas for stuff, and I need somewhere to put them. And so, you know, if I don't have a place to put them or write them down or something, you know, they just go by the wayside, or may forget them, or, you know, may come back to it at a different time. Who knows? It's really kind of up in the air. But I don't think I don't think it's profitable or beneficial to lose those kinds of things a lot of times, because I think, you know, some of them may have some value, and it may, you know, bring other possibilities, opportunities, whatever else into the business. So I want to keep and capture that somewhere. So I add this field right here, which I just simply call the brain dump, and I do long text. And this way I can capture all of those ideas, and yeah, I don't have to worry about it. So this we'll address this later. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is our base, and you know, it looks pretty good. So now we are going to start exercising some of the power of Airtable. We are going to now create a separate view of the same data that will enable us to share with someone else, with our VA, with our social media manager, in order to get stuff done. So first I want to rename this view, this current view. This is the grid view here, and you can do this one of two ways. You can double click, and that'll let you do that, or you can right click and then rename view. So we'll call this the master. All right, and then we're going to want to add another view. So you click on this, and this bottom row will allow you to add views in different types. So you can see here the grid view gives a little description, the form view, the calendar view, the gallery view, and the Kanban view, which, if you like Trello, this is your bag right here, which is why Airtable is so awesome. But for this, we're just going to keep with the grid view. Now, if you ever want to change your view to another view that you already have, it'll populate in this list up here. You don't have to click add view every single time I want to go to a Kanban view. If I've already created a Kanban view, it'll appear up here, as you'll see later in the video. So for this, I want to create another grid view. So we're going to click that, and then we're going to call this freelancer. Okay, so say I have a freelancer working for me, doing my thing, and you know, cool. And you'll notice that this view is literally exactly the same. It's duplicated, essentially, of the master view. Now, in order to do that, see, I can go back here to the master view. If I just wanted to duplicate it outright anyway, and I know I want another grid view, I can just come over here, click the little dots, and then duplicate view. So that's another way we can do that. So we're back in the freelancer view. Now, we don't need our freelancer to have access to all this information potentially. And really we don't. We don't need them to be able to change data in any other field except the ones I want them to. So we're going to use the hide fields function here, and we're going to hide certain fields like content type, because the content type for them is not really that important, because it will show up across here in the table where it needs to go, and it tells them where it needs to go. Topic, not really applicable to them, more of an organizational thing for me. The group, again, more of an organizational thing. And then the brain dump they don't need, because that's my ramblings and whatever else. And I don't really feel a need to share the due date with them, although it could be. That's normally something that, it's understood that when something pops up in their view, it needs to get taken care of like today. So yeah, we just don't need to view those fields, or our freelancer doesn't need to view those fields. So this basically leaves just our platform fields, and the date published, which they will enter in, and then the complete field, which they will enter into. The status field they will change as soon as it is published. So we're going to set up a filter now. Here we tell this view how to filter the data, which data to show. So we're going to click add filter, and then we're going to add a filter. And then so we want to sort this by the status. So we're gonna filter this by status, and then we're gonna say where the status is, and then here, once we select status, it gives us this box, and it gives us our status options here, and we're gonna select ready to publish. Okay, now that's gonna filter out all of the data that does not have that in it. Okay, now we're going to so we're going to tell the table how to group data based on certain criteria. We're going to add two different grouping levels to the table. When you have multiple grouping criteria on the same table, the first criteria is what all the data will be grouped by. The second criteria is what all the data within the first group will be grouped by within that group. So it's basically like a group within a group at that point, and then so on and so forth, if you depending on how far you drill down. So we're going to click the group button here, and we're going to pick a field to group by, and then we're we're going to group by status. And then we're going to pick another field to group by, and we're going to say content type. And first to last is basically saying it's going to alphabetize all the data, and last to first would be reversed. So you can think of it as ascending and descending as well. And then that's it. Yeah, your freelancer view is ready to go now. So now we have the ability to share this view. Now with Airtable, you have to be careful with how you share your information. You can share it back in the main home workspace level. You can share that, which will share all the bases within that workspace. Then you can share this base, which will give them access to all of the tables created in the base. But what we want to do for this particular use case is just share this view, because this is our freelancer view. So this is what we share with other people. So then we click this share button and we create a shareable grid view link. Okay, and this goes back to like Google Sheets and things like that, which have the same exact thing. This creates a link to just this view, not even this table, this view. And you have some options here. For the sake of this, we're just going to leave it. But then we just, select it, copy it, and we can go out, and paste the link in an email or wherever, text message or whatever we want to do. Also, you can embed this view on your site, on a website. So, say you gave your freelancer their own page on your domain. You can even embed this view on your website, even to where they would still be able to edit it and whatever else. So that's how we share. But all of this doesn't really mean a whole lot if we don't understand how it's used. So let's talk about that real quick. Let's just come up. So super duper cool content is my title. My content type will be a blog post and maybe an Instagram pic. Okay. And my topic is how I'm so much cooler than you. Okay, and then my group I want to go with super cool kids. And see, since there's no grouping currently created, you can click this and it'll create that option. Boom. So now if I were to X out of it, now this exists. If I want another option, I can start typing and creating it and create it. Or if I want to add another one, like that. So then we said Facebook post and Instagram. So we scroll over to Facebook. And then we can just type in our post. There's a photo, there's the link, and there's a hashtag super duper cool kids. Cool. And then Instagram. We drop our picture, we drop our post, and then we drop our hashtag. Okay. So that's where I want those two posts. So then we pick a due date of the end of the month, And then we'll say, we're ready to publish. Okay, and that's all we need to do here. Now, the cool thing about Airtable too is I don't have to manually input all of this data in this fashion. I can if I want, but I don't have to. So let's talk about this, the form view. This takes your data and puts it in a fillable form. So you can see here that all of these fields are now in a form view, and I can edit them too. So obviously if we're entering a new post, it's not going to be complete, so we don't need that. And then we don't need the brain dump field because this is a new post and we're going to enter in real data. So then on the pro plan or the paid plans, you can add a logo and a cover image to your forms to brand them for your business too. Since we're on the free account, it's not going to let us do that. But so if I wanted to enter in information on this form, I just click open form. And it opens up in a new tab as an HTML document. And so now I come in here and type in my information, my topic, my group, my blog title. I can attach my image. Here's my blog text. There's my blog link, and then hashtag. Right? And then when I'm done with that, I come down here and hit submit. And it says thank you for submitting the form. And then I just close out of that. Now, you can also say you were adding a bunch of things at the same time. You can say that you want to show a submit another response button and then show a blank form after 5 seconds. I normally do that. So with the paid plans, you can also redirect to a different, like if this was a data collection form or whatever, you can redirect to like a thank you page or whatever after the form submitted. And you can turn off the Airtable branding, and you could edit the submit label too on the paid plans. So that's the new post form. Now for the brain dump, I can add that in a form as well. So I just want to come over here, duplicate the view, and remove all. That brings off all of my stuff. And then come over here, call it brain dump. Oops. And then I can scroll down here, click and drag my brain dump field into my form. And then now, boom, I have my brain dump form. Now I can just open my form and I can type to my heart's content. Okay, submit it. And then I can submit another one if I have it or whatever else. And then the nice thing about this is I can post this link anywhere, save it to my desktop or whatever. And then anytime I have an idea or something I need to keep, I just open this up, type it in, submit it, and then go on with the rest of my day. I don't have to spend, a ton of time worrying about, I need to remember this is important, whatever else. I just bring it in here and then it's good. So it'll take a lot of stress out of that kind of stuff. So when you enter in information in your forms, it then starts to populate your records. So yeah, because I didn't delete these records, they were blank beforehand. Yeah, see, if you have blank records in your field, it will not default to the first empty field, it'll default to the last field and fill in a new record. So since the Airtable gives us 3 empty records at the beginning, this first entry that I made in the form defaulted to the 4th line. So we'll just delete those 2. But you can see all of the information that I typed was entered in, and there's the brain dump on its own line. So let's see here. We can go ready to publish. We can call this a draft. Okay, that way this will show you. So you can see on here that I have 3 records of information. Now, for our freelancer, they will only be able to see things that fit the criteria of the filters that we put up. So here we go. We have a ready to publish Facebook and Instagram post. Here's the content type name, like I said before, that it would be identified by. Then we scroll over. Here's our Facebook post. Here's all of our Facebook information. Here's our Instagram post. And then the status is ready to publish. Now, when we publish it, we're going to say, oh, I published it today. It's published, and boom, it gets knocked off of our view because that filter was only for the status of ready to publish. Now, you'll see in our master view that this changes in real time. So, and updates in real time. So this goes to published. So let's say we want to change some of those filters. Here's an alternative option. I guess we really don't need this first group. Because everything is only going to be ready to publish. See, that's where I get ahead of myself. Let's say that I don't want this to disappear when I click ready to publish. Maybe I want it to be ready to publish and the complete box is checked. No, is unchecked. Okay, so now we can change this to published, and then once we hit complete, it'll filter out of our view completely. So that's an alternative thing you can do as well. Or you could even just get rid of that altogether. But then you're kind of opening yourself up to seeing other things, your freelancer to seeing other things. They could change this or whatever else. But hey, it's up to you. Who knows? Maybe you find some use in that. So anyway, guys, you know, it's been great talking with you. I hope you gotten some value out of this. Sorry it's a little long, but it's a little bit of a long process to kind of talk through it, I've found out, than just to do it. But anyway, if you like the video, subscribe. We're going to be dropping some more. If you like the video, give it the thumbs up. If you subscribe, hit the bell. And if you're interested in how Airtable can benefit your business, it can literally benefit any business with any kind of tracking information or process type information. If you have a sales pipeline, you can move it all into Airtable. A to-do list can be moved into Airtable. All of these things I personally do in Airtable. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and we hope to talk soon.